Hello, and welcome to the PMG tutorial for building a form. In this exercise, we will get familiar with the Form Designer and build a simple form that can be used to onboard a new contractor. Now let's get started. To create a new form, navigate to your dashboard by clicking the link in the navigation near the top of the page. On the left side, you will see a link to the Form Designer. Click the link. On the next screen, you will be asked to provide a unique ID and a title for your form. After you have done so, press the green Create button to create the form. Great! Now we have a form created and we can begin to configure it for our purposes. To begin, let's add a description. I'm going to add some text that describes the intended use of the form. Additional information such as search keywords, images, and permissions can be managed here as well, but we will skip it for this tutorial. To add questions to the form, click the Design drop-down in the navigation at the top and select Form. On the left-hand side of the screen, you will see a list of form elements that can be dragged onto the canvas to configure your form. Let's begin by adding a few text fields to collect the contractor's first name, last name, and email address. Start by filtering on the left for text. Then, with your pointer, grab the text field form element and drag it onto the canvas. After you have dragged them onto the canvas, you can rename them by updating the display name property in the right panel. Now let's add a few more questions to our form. First, let's drag on an Active Directory lookup to enable our users to search for a manager on the form. Then, let's drag two date elements so our users can provide a start and end date for the contractor. Now let's check in on how your form is going to look to your users. To do so, we can preview the form by pressing the Preview button at the top of the page. From this screen, we can scroll the page to see the questions we have added to the form from the Form Designer. And if you are happy with your changes, you can navigate back to the Form Designer and click the Deploy button to save your changes. Let's add one more question to wrap this exercise up. On the left-hand side of the screen, filter for Select and drag that form element onto the canvas. On PMG Forms, you can provide static values or make a query to an external data source like an SQL database. To do so, scroll down to the Data section and begin by selecting your data source. Then in the field below, you can provide your query. For this exercise, we have created a table called Role that we will use. When you are done, let's click the Preview button to see the query run live on the form. Lastly, let us do a little bit of cleanup and remove some of the unneeded fields from the Manager lookup. Another way to quickly get to the Form Designer, if it does not open another tab, is to click the Edit icon to the left of the question label. This will redirect you to the Form Designer and select the question for you. Now let's uncheck some of the default properties and rename the display values so it is easy for your users to understand. When you are done, you can click the Preview button to see the form. Now if you are happy with your changes, you can click the Edit icon again and press the Deploy button at the top of the page to save your changes. There you have it. You have now successfully created a form from scratch using the PMG Form Designer. Congratulations!